It's late 1965 in the Central Highlands, with the 1st Cavalry Division pushing through the Ayadrang area. What hits you first isn't a bullet. It's shaking chills, a soaked uniform, and a headache that feels like pressure behind your eyes. You try to keep your place in the file, but your legs don't answer, and the platoon stretches out behind you. That gap costs security and invites contact. In this video, we're breaking down 4 medical realities soldiers weren't prepared for: skin breakdown, gut sickness, malaria collapse, and the evacuation chain that saved lives while cutting men loose from their units. You feel it in your feet before you see it. Skin stays wet, then turns pale, then splits. Boots grind the raw spots open, and every step becomes a choice. In 1967, with 1st Marine Division units operating around Da Nang, damp heat fed fungal infections and tropical ulcers that turned marching into limping. Army medical histories described skin disease running about 30 cases per 1,000 troops per year early in the war, pulling riflemen out without a shot fired. And that forced units into constant foot checks and powders, because the alternative was losing men. A Navy corpsman later put it plainly: off the line is just as good as a bullet. You start hiding your feet, ashamed to be the problem. Once the cracks get infected and you can't bear weight, from that point on, you aren't mission capable. And once you accept that, you begin to fear what the water and mud will do next. Then your stomach turns on you. The first warning is a twist that doesn't stop, then cramping, then the cold sweat. In the Mekong Delta with elements of the 9th Infantry Division in 1968, you can be on a patrol boat at dawn and doubled over by mid-morning. Here's what most people miss. Diarrhea doesn't just weaken you, it changes decisions. You hesitate, afraid of the next cramp. Men ration water and rush movements, looking for relief that isn't there. Army medical histories recorded diarrheal disease and dysentery admissions around 69 per 1,000 troops in 1965, with an average hospital stay of about 5 days. An Army physician later recalled treating dehydration secondary to diarrhea alongside the wounded. You get irritable and careless, then quiet because thinking takes effort. Once the corpsman tags you for evacuation, return to the patrol is unlikely, and when you're already dry and weak, fever is waiting. When the fever hits, it can be clean and fast: chills, then heat, then a pulse that won't slow. After operations in late 1965 in the Ayadrang and Vinh Thong valleys, medical reviews noted that up to 50% of personnel in some operations developed clinical malaria. In the same period, incidents in some combat elements, including the 1st Cavalry Division, approached 350 cases per 1,000 per year. This is where it turned deadly because it breaks timing and judgment. You miss radio calls. You stop using repellent because you're too tired to care. Command health reports treated malaria discipline as a command problem because one sick squad can unravel a perimeter. A corpsman's recollection stayed short: 104 degrees fever, shaking chills. You start fearing nightfall because that's when the shaking returns. Once you're sent to the evacuation hospital, your unit moves without you. From that point on, you're gone. And once the line is thin, contact becomes a survival problem fast. By the time the radio call goes out, your world narrows to noise and minutes. Rotor wash, dust in your mouth. By 1968, a dust-off crew from the 57th Medical Detachment can be overhead fast, but the landing still has to happen in the open. Army aeromedical evacuation histories describe helicopter ambulances moving almost 900,000 U.S. and Allied sick and wounded during the war, and doctrine recorded that at least 90% of hospitalized U.S. Army battle casualties were moved by helicopter at some point. That scale built confidence and pressure because the aircraft had to come in where the enemy could see it. What happened next surprised even experienced troops. The pickup zone became part of the fight. Dust-off crews drilled a pledge: no hesitation, no reservation, no compromise. You get the wounded out. You feel relief, then guilt, because somebody is flying into your mess. Once that helicopter lifts, you're leaving your platoon behind, and many never rejoin it. After that, return was unlikely. And even if you live, the sound of rotors doesn't stay in Vietnam. When people talk about Vietnam, they often picture firefights and headlines. What stayed with you was the medical reality underneath it: skin that never truly dried, gut sickness that stole strength and patience, fever that turned a capable rifleman into a liability overnight, and the evacuation chain that saved lives while separating men from their squads in the same breath. Some veterans carried home recurring infections, lingering fatigue, and the memory of being helpless while others kept moving. The lesson was hard. In Vietnam, the battlefield wasn't only where rounds landed, it was also inside the body. And for many men, that fight didn't end cleanly when the tour ended.